Welcome to Av Continues episode 234. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. This is a weekly podcast posted up every Monday in which we talk about video games related topics on outofcontinues.com as an MP3, or it goes up before that on youtube.com/outofcontinues as a video. And you could also watch us live if you subscribe to the channel. You'll get a little notification when we start recording. I am your host, Stafa, for those of you new to the show, and I have different guest hosts on the show with me each week. And this week I have VR expert with me, Neeraj.
Hey.
What's up? It's been a while since you've been on the show.
Thanks, man. It's good to be back, and I'm really thrilled to do this again. It was really fun last time, and I know we're going to have a lot of fun this time.
That's right. We talked about VR last time, but now we're in a post-VR world where VR is available for people. So,
Exciting stuff.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. That's going to be our main topic for this week. After that, we got some quick announcements, and then we have some news. Not too much news. I had to grab random things that aren't as significant as the usual news, but we got news. So before we get going, I just want to do a quick disclaimer that all opinions expressed on the show are of our own and not of our employers, whether past, present, or future.
Yes.
Hashtag hire Stafa.
Hashtag hire me, please. Please.
All right. So let's go on to our main topic, talk about VR. So, what was it, the past month or so, we had the Oculus. It's now available for the public. We have is the HTC Vive, is that now out too?
Yeah, both are out.
And the PlayStation VR is right around the corner, coming out eventually, right?
October seems like, yeah.
Okay, so that's not too far from now, a few months away. So
yeah. Exciting stuff. I mean, this VR.
Which ones have you experimented with after they've been released?
The ones that have been released, I've experimented with them. So the Rift and the Vive, I've tried out the release versions of those, and I've tried out the development versions of PSVR. I've been lucky enough to try out those, and I wouldn't say there's a clear-cut winner, not just yet, because Oculus and Vive seem to be really neck and neck, and down the line, they both offer very similar, too similar. The feature set is too similar, and that kind of makes sense because they're both incubated from the same, the same spawn point. Let's use a gaming term, because this whole VR revolution started at Valve, at the tracking room at Valve. They had this small room where they placed a bunch of fiducial markers, black and white QR code looking markers, stamped all across the room, and used a camera and computer vision to track your position and orientation in that room. And now it's become a lot more sophisticated. We're using actual tracking software and hardware. Both headsets are capable of room scale tracking. Both headsets are capable of controller-based hand immersion. And I have no idea what to expect now, because the price is a little more, the Oculus Rift is a little more affordable, but it comes with less of a feature set than what the Vive ships with.
Oculus Rift, more like Oculus Rip-Off, am I right? Oh!
Well, it's cheaper, so I wouldn't say it's a rip-off.
I'm just messing.
There's, they come up, they don't come with the room scale tracking, and they don't come with those amazing touch controllers that we've seen that kind of track all of the haptics of all of your fingers. I don't know if it's all of your fingers. I haven't got a chance to try that thing out. That's
Hmm.
very, very closed door demo kind of a thing. I've only tried the headset. But right now, I think the touch is pretty key to the experience of owning a Rift, and the controller just doesn't cut it. We can't. We have to stop. I'm saying we as if I
You're
mean,
saying we as an industry?
yeah, we as an industry have to stop making games that are like third person. I don't see that being fun in VR. I've tried it out. I think that you could just have a 2D game that follows the player like around. The camera just follows the player around, even if it's like a fixed viewpoint kind of a camera.
Hmm.
I just don't think it's too comfortable, and it's not immersive. So uh, the Xbox controller, the kind of experiences that it enables, aren't very mind blowing. They aren't like immersive. I've seen some reviews of Lucky's Tale, which is the pre-order thing, that the game that comes with the Rift.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about Lucky's Tale when you were mentioning third person.
Um, yeah, Lucky's Tale is a good example of a game that basically a Mario clone. I don't want to like distill games down to the like uh, essence like that, but it's basically a Mario clone, and it's a Mario clone that happens to be in VR, where the third person camera kind of is along a spline, so it's along a fixed track, and the camera
So
is
so
moving.
it's kind of more like Crash Bandicoot then, right?
Yeah,
The-
or yeah. Well, how would you say? Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Because
yeah.
Crash Bandicoot, like the camera was always fixed. It was never rotated around Crash. So Crash Bandicoot was either like moving away from the camera, moving towards the camera, or moving uh, to the right.
You know what? That's a way better example. So let's just call it a Crash Bandicoot clone then. And honestly, like that, the Lucky character looks very similar to,
Conquer.
let's call him Cocker. What? Crash?
Conquer from Conquer's Bad Fur Day. The squirrel.
Oh yeah, yeah. Is that a rare game? I don't
Yeah,
remember.
it was on Nintendo 64.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't
Like it
played
looks
that.
very similar because they're both orange and they both wear blue.
Shit. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. You seem to be right. But yeah, yeah. Like it follows a track, and I don't think that's good. I don't think that's like a good immersive way of doing VR. Like you wanna do something innovative, like budget cuts and fantastic contraption. If anyone who's listening, if anyone's heard of fantastic contraption, it's just a really really cool idea
Is
of
Budget Cuts a game?
budget cuts is a game. Budget cuts is also a game.
Well, what is Budget Cuts? I never heard of it before. Can you explain it real quick?
Sure, yeah. So budget cuts is a first person VR game that runs on the HTC Vive that it's a VR stealth game. So you're kind of put in this office. You start off in this office, and your goal is to, just like us, kind of stamp a job application to say accepted. So you can accept yourself as an applicant within the company, and you're kind of like stealthing around. And there's these robots that you're trying to ninja around to to um, to get to your final goal. And what you might be thinking is, well, if the HTC Vive is room scale, which I already know,
Hmm.
how do you actually move around an office shaped environment? Because you only have a limited amount of space in your tracking area, and the office is obviously way greater than that. So the cool thing that these developers have come out with, kind of almost simultaneously, they've all uh, made implementations of this in their own game, and that is a blink functionality. So you have your controller, and you kind of shoot yourself into a new area in the game. So you could pretty much be standing, and you don't really need to move at all. and you can blink to different sections of the area. So basically, your room will now be mapped to a new area within the game world, and that seems to work really well. I think it's really comfortable. I've tried out another game that supports it called The Lab. It's an experience. It's not really a game. It's kind of like a bunch of mini games stuck together in one mini game. It's amazing. If anyone gets the chance to try out the Vive, I'd say go try out the Lab. And it's a big bonus as a game developer too, because the Lab made by Valve is a really nice stepping point as a developer to understand all the different interactions you could have in VR. It's basically a bunch of experiments that Valve has done and said, hey, developer, check out all these experiences and check out all these implementations of movement and mini games and maybe puzzle solving mechanics that you could do in VR and run with it. Here's a bunch of things. And so a lot of people have copied Blink from Valve. A lot of people have copied Archery from Valve. Archery is where you can do a bow and arrow thing using your two controllers. Mm-hmm. And it feels good. It feels very natural. There's obviously, you won't get any torsion or any you won't be having a bow that's resisting you as you're pulling against it, but you'll just have kind of a vibration feedback when you reach the apex of the pull, so that you know what's the maximum there, and you can just let go. And it feels really natural. Archery feels really natural in VR. So there's a bunch of things. I'm sorry. What were we talking about? I just went on a tangent.
Well, before that, I asked what's budget cuts, because you're talking about how developers should do more innovative things with the VR rather than just make a Crash Bandicoot clone.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess I was going on the right track then. Well, the point is that VR is still a super untapped medium in terms of interaction with space and the software experiences that can be enabled on it. And the hardware is already mature. It's out there. People can try it, even if it's in a limited capacity. The pre-orders are hard to actually. It's actually hard to get yourself hands on a unit for your own house, but it's a lot more accessible than before. The hardware is in pretty much a final form, and we're just waiting for the new contender called PlayStation VR, which I think would be a really strong contender. Mm-hmm. Because they seem to have it going on. They have a lot of partnerships, a lot of important studios like Tekken Studio and Ubisoft, etc. Square Enix, I think, is also making a game for them.
Well, they also seem to be an easier entry point for people to get into VR, because it's going to be the cheapest price tag.
Yeah, absolutely.
For people who already own a PS4.
Right, and that's what I've been thinking too. I feel like it would just be a no-brainer for me to get a PSVR, because we have two PS4s at home. It'll be just too easy to.
So if you hook them both together to the VR, is it going to be twice as powerful? Go run with a smoother frame rate?
Yeah, you could get 240 frames per second.
Yeah, exactly. Just duct tape the PS4s together.
Yes. You got to duct tape them. You got to duct tape them vertically, not horizontally. Otherwise, you won't get the power that you need.
Duct tape 3 GameCubes together to make a Nintendo Wii.
Yes, you got to duct tape them and then connect their HDMI connections together, so you get the power, the frames per second power. Math, yes.
That's how it works.
Math and physics, man. Guys, go try it out. Duct tape your stuff together. Let me know how it goes. You can reach me on my Twitter. I won't tell you what my Twitter is. Maybe Google. But
yeah. So we have the CEO of CCP. You know, CCP being uh, the developer that made what's it called?
Eve
The
Valkyrie.
Eve, yeah,
Eve.
Eve Online, and they're doing Eve Valkyrie for uh, the VR.
Yeah.
And so he's on the podcast right now, Mr. Hilmar uh, Peterson. He's telling us that
Oh, wow.
no, he's not on the podcast. On in this article I have here on Polygon, he was interviewed, and he mentioned that he thinks 10 years, somewhere between 5 to 10 years before VR becomes mainstream, because he mentions that, well, he says that they personally have a 10-year plan. They think like the first 5 years, it's going to be very slow, very chaotic. They say it's going to be madness. Uh, and and then he says after those first 5 years, the second 5 years, they're going to see a rapid expansion, and that's when they think it's going to become more mainstream. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, we talked about this earlier, and now that I'm thinking about it a little more, he seems to have a very informed opinion. So he started VR as one of the pioneers of VR. I'd like to add to your list of two Eve games, Eve Online and Eve Valkyrie. I want to add Eve Gunjack. That's their mobile VR um, title, and yeah, I totally agree with his sentiment. He seems to know how he has a really good um, game already that fits within the scope of VR, within a seated VR experience, and that's great for both Oculus and the Vive. I don't really, yeah, but I agree with what he's saying, because the first few years would be a trial period where developers are struggling, users are struggling maybe to get their hands on it, and maybe to have the experiences that they've always desired. And there's going to be a mismatch between what the hardcore users want and what the developers are capable of offering. And then towards the end, when maybe a new hardware cycle comes around, or the software matures enough to take full advantage of the hardware, I think
Yeah,
I think uh, things are going to get better for VR.
I
Five,
think a good example to compare that to would be like if you look at games on the PlayStation 3. Um, in the beginning of the cycle, you had games that developers, they're trying to get used to the PS3, and they're like, oh, we have like 6-axis controls, and so we had stuff like the first Uncharted game and Heavenly Sword that had like just really stupid 6-axis controls that basically hurt the game. That made the game worse, just because the developers, they're like, hey, let's try this stuff out, and then by the end of the life cycle of the PS3, we had games like The Last of Us that just was just a really solid experience, and the developers knew exactly what needed to be done and how to utilize the hardware, and not try to throw in random gimmicks everywhere.
yeah, absolutely. And I feel like the six axis of VR today is archery games. There's tons of archery games out there selling for $30 a piece, and like honestly, some of the experiences right now are just exploiting people. Like if you have a VR headset, you would feel pressed to buy these very half baked, really bad experiences that shouldn't be priced at the price that they are priced at. Yeah, there's it's not mature. The industry is not mature, obviously, uh, and yeah, it'll get better. I think Blink, the Blink thing that I talked about, it
Hmm.
would be a great functionality to explore three worlds. I think it's going to be very natural for people to do Blink. But what I'm afraid of is here today we have these 2D games. We're calling them 2D games now. 2D games with the controller with tons of buttons that are all mappable to different actions in a game.
Hmm.
And in your VR controllers, you have this really intuitive uh, controller system which uses your hands as uses like various parts of your hand as input, like some of your fingers, your thumb, um, and tracking like the like a trackpad kind of a thing on the Vive controller. And now VR has thrown a lot of buttons out of the window. That's what I'm excited about. There aren't going to be these complicated controllers. Things are going to be super intuitive. People get into VR and they just get it. You know, they just kind of get how to do stuff because it's
Yeah.
so intuitive to them. I'm very excited for the touch controllers. I think those are going to be bomb. The Vive controllers are also pretty good, but the touch controllers look super nice. They have these places for all of your fingers to go in, and it just looks really like a tight, immersive, kind of an intuitive experience.
Yeah.
Really excited.
I think the controllers are definitely going to be very important for the VR experience. I
Absolutely.
mean, even if the game uses like your basic you know Xbox controller, I think that's going to be more ideal than using a mouse and keyboard. I think it's going to be uh, that's not the right way to go with mouse and keyboard, because like as soon as you lift up your hands from the keyboard, unless like you have keys that are very easy to find, the home row keys again, you're gonna like lift that the VR piece off of your head just to see your keyboard again, and that's gonna ruin the experience. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
it'll take you out of the moment.
Hey,
So I don't
and
think mouse and keyboard is going to work very well, and like game pads and other types of VR specific controllers are going to be the way how to play these games.
yeah. Are you making a case for gamepads, or are you saying those are going to be bad as well? Because I feel like those gamepads are going to be obsolete as well.
Well, I think that you can still use them, because I played Eve Valkyrie with an Xbox
Oh,
gamepad, and I
yeah.
thought it worked pretty fine.
Okay, yeah, I guess. Okay, yeah, I guess for some experiences, a gamepad could be beneficial, like a sit-down kind of experience. But if you are using your hands in space
Uh huh.
and you're grabbing things and you're blinking around and you're doing your archery, I hope to God that you don't have archery in your VR game. But even if you do,
Yeah.
um,
I totally agree with you. I'm just saying that, like, with like an Xbox gamepad, when you hold it, you know exactly where all the buttons are. You don't need to like look at the Xbox controller to see, if you're touching the right button. You know.
absolutely, yeah. Let's just say that the keyboard and mouse is dead. It's not going to be an input solution for VR. I feel like we've
Yes.
already all known this in the back of our minds, like because now Oculus and Vive are going to be room scale. For those of you who don't know, the Oculus does not ship with an extra tracking thing, tracking pod or tracking camera, to do room scale right out of the box. The Vive does, so it does room scale out of the box. The Oculus does not ship with controllers out of the, hand controllers, hand molded controllers. The Oculus Touch out of the box. The Vive does, so that's a big leg up for the Vive out of the box. But I'm pretty sure Oculus will change their pricing model and maybe change their package, their bundle to include an extra thing, like to include the touch controllers in the package. But there was something that you talked about a little earlier that I would love to explore more with you.
Sure.
and that is lifting your headset to view the real world.
Yeah.
That is a big differentiator now between these heavyweight VR platforms. The HTC Vive, if you don't know, um, has a camera in the front of the headset, and the Oculus Rift does not. And what the camera enables is the ability to fuse the real world with the virtual world. And
So it's more like augmented reality.
yeah, absolutely. It's augmented virtual reality.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know if there's a word for it. Let's just still call it VR. Let's still call it VR, but with information of the real world.
You're leaning away from the mic.
Yeah. Okay, but there's information about the real world that can be accessed without having to pull the headset off. And this is huge. Say your cat is walking around in the space that you're currently VRing in.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you don't want to step on your cat. You want to continue doing the VR stuff without, but still knowing that your cat's in front of you. So what you do see in the world is kind of like a ghostly image of your cat. So you know, okay, that's something I need to step around or shoo away or something like that.
Kick.
So, kick. We're top kicking about something.
Yeah, just kick the cat away.
Oh, kick! Oh, damn. Okay. That's ugly. But yeah, what do you think about that stuff? Like,
I saw this video of this game. I think it's called the Arena or something like that. And I think that it's using the camera because it's showing like the people themselves that are playing this game, but they're like in this like Tron like hallway where they're throwing Tron discs at each other, and that actually looks really cool. It looks very fun.
Hey, what is that? I have no idea what that is.
Like you can see in the notes. I have a link to the article with the CCP guy, and there's a video in that article.
Oh, I've seen something like that. Magic Lab.
It's like called Project Arena or something like that.
The Magic Lab guys tried to do something like that, where you're playing multiplayer with someone else and trying to like bounce these discs off the wall to like hit the other guy, right? Is that what you're?
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually a PlayStation VR thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, those. It was they were doing that at PlayStation Experience. They were showing it off. I was there. Cool. I was there live, guys. I got to see this cool disc throwing madness live, and yeah, there's a huge potential for these social games in VR. However, there's not going to be any way to do a realistic avatar because there's no camera pointing at you. The Oculus has a camera. The Oculus has a camera pointing at you, but it's an infrared camera, so it's not going to be able to tell what you look like. But this is where we come to another differentiator between the heavyweight platforms, and let's try to kind of push the PSVR into this discussion, where the PlayStation VR does tracking in a different way than the Oculus and Vive do. The Oculus and Vive use okay, so the Oculus uses infrared cameras. The Vive uses a laser grid to kind of map that kind of scans over the entire 3D area, your play space. It kind of does it does a Y. It does a laser lookup in Y, a laser lookup in X, and tries to triangulate like your position, the position of the headset.
That's like Tron right there, man. Like when he gets scanned into the computer.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, it does kind of sound like that. But basically, you're Troning yourself into the VR world.
Everything that's VR related is Tron. We're living the dream.
Yeah, I mean, if we can wear haptic VR suits that kind of glow, that have these cool
Yeah,
glowing
and
pipes going through them.
those suits will give us the feedback. Like if you get shot, you gotta feel it.
I think we both know what book we're talking about. We both know we're talking about Ready Player One, right?
I did not read that.
Oh
I
man,
read Snow Crash though.
yeah. I'm halfway through it, dude. I'm actually halfway through
Snow
Snow
Crash is
Crash. Yeah.
crazy.
I'm halfway through that book. But let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about Snow Crash because I really don't want any spoilers for that. But what my point was is that the PlayStation VR uses the PlayStation camera, which, if anyone remembers the iToy back in the PS2 days, it's kind of like that. The PlayStation camera is just a regular camera that looks at the headset and tracks the headset because there are lights on the actual PSVR headset that are trackable by computer vision. So it kind of approximates where it is in 3D space by actually using an actual camera feed. So my point was that there's no real camera looking at you and your headset in the other two VR solutions, but in PSVR there is one. So there's maybe a way for you to do an approximation of an avatar for PSVR. So with the clothes they're wearing and the actual face that you have, not like the Kinect where it kind of had this weird problem of not being able to see darker skinned people in the beginning of its cycle. That was a little funny. That was
Oh yeah, I remember that with the
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little weird. But yeah, the PSVR could have. It has the potential to give you an avatar. What do you think about that? Would you like an avatar, bro?
Dude, I live all about the avatars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about the avatar.
So you want people to see what you actually look like?
They can always see what I actually look like. Just go to staffahassani.com and then just tweet with the hashtag HireStaffa, and you can see what I look like.
Okay.
In person, just hire me.
But if you were in an anonymous VR thing, kind of like the metaverse. Okay, let's rope in a little Snow Crash. If you were in the metaverse and you just had a gamer tag associated with you, which was Staffa or whatever your gamer tag is.
That is my gamer tag. It's Staffa. It's always
Staffa?
Staffa. I always say it's Staffa.
Okay. So all they saw is Staffa hovered over you. Would you want your real face to be under that Staffa? Or would you want some kind of like your real face but kind of a little warped in some way? Maybe with some scales or with some horns or with a tail or something like that.
Oh, so I'm basically a Fable character.
Yeah.
And I went evil.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure.
I'm fine with just me. I mean, like whenever I play like a sports game or wrestling game or a UFC game or boxing game, I usually try to make me, and I spend hours trying to make me, and then it looks nothing like me.
Yeah. I mean, if you played Metal Gear Solid, though, I'm pretty sure like the character customization in that one is insane.
I just picked like face because I was like, I don't like any of these faces.
Yeah, dude, but I'm pretty sure in MGS5 you could make anyone's face. That character customization was way too robust. But yeah, I would personally want an avatar that kind of looked like me, but maybe with some horns or something special going on. Maybe like
5 eyes.
No, I don't like more eyes than normal. I want some kind of like cracked skin that kind of has like this magma flowing through it, like it's glowy, and I want to look.
Oh, so you're basically a renegade from Mass Effect 2.
Oh yeah.
With
One of those guys.
cracked face and like red cracks.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to be that.
I'm 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 fine with just me because like I'm not like all about like hiding my identity online. Like I'm not one of these people that you know wants to hide behind the computer and troll people and be a jerk and not just feel safe behind my computer being mean to other people. I'm not all about that. It's like, hey, hashtag hire Staffa.
Yeah, I personally am very private. Like I don't do any Facebook stuff. I don't really like doing any of that stuff.
Mhm.
I'm really private guy, so I don't want my avatar to look exactly like me. Maybe me with a little bit of spin to it, but no way am I gonna have my actual face in the virtual world. I'm really scared of all of that. With the whole, we can go into a tangent about cybersecurity and privacy and stuff like that, but there's a big problem with all that nowadays. Your
Mhm.
data is easily accessible and maybe even could be used for malicious purposes. So
Yeah.
I'm scared. I'm a scared boy. I don't want to have people look at my stuff.
Uh, is there anything else we want to say about VR before we wrap up this conversation?
Um, Not really. Guys, give your support to the virtual reality industry. Buy one of the headsets, whichever one you're fine with. I can't make a recommendation for you because personally, as of having tried all the headsets, um, I would say that, and I haven't tried the touch controllers yet, which is a big part of the Oculus experience. But I would say that the Oculus and the Vive are neck and neck. They look pretty much very similar. They have the same resolution and same refresh rate, and the screen door effect is equally minimized on both of them. You really wouldn't be able to tell much of a difference putting on both the headsets. Both the headsets have a certain problem, and that is it's an artifact caused by the lenses that they use. The lenses that both of those headsets use are called Fresnel lenses, and they cause this weird ghosting artifact when you see bright objects against a black background. Why I'm telling you this is so you know that both the headsets are equally flawed and equally great, um, and it's just up to personal preference and the software that they both come out with. Dude, if
Yeah.
Valve makes Half-Life 3 and ships it on the Vive, you know what I'm going to buy. You know where I'm going. I'm
You're
going
gonna
to buy
get the
the Vive.
PlayStation VR.
Exactly. Oh, one other thing to note. One other thing to note
Yeah.
is that the Vive and the Rift are capped at 90 frames per second, but the PlayStation VR does 120 frames. It's capable of doing 120 frames per second, but that's probably not always possible, um, considering that you are running this VR experience on a console,
You know. You
which is
know. Okay, sorry. Go on.
kind of a weak platform to begin with. So all I have to say is buy one of them. You will make the right decision.
Like I really don't think Valve would like if they were to make Half-Life 3, which first of all I don't even think they want to make that, but if they were to make it, like and they may, I don't think that they would make it exclusive. Uh, I think it'd be available on all the VR, or at least both the HTC Vive as well as the Oculus,
Yeah,
because it seems like those two, like whichever one you go with, like the games and the software are both gonna be available on both because like with the Oculus, Palmer Luckey, said that he doesn't care if developers want to put something that they made for Oculus onto the HTC Vive stores. Like he doesn't care. So I think it's whichever one of those two you get, you're gonna have like the same library of software to access. So yeah.
Right now, it's not so shared. There's very many experiences with the Oculus that aren't available on the Vive, and vice versa.
I
Right
think
now,
it'll eventually like even out.
yeah, same here. I think that there's going to be a lot more multi-platform experiences. So go with one of them. You will not be disappointed.
Live the future.
Hashtag PR.
Hashtag higher stuff. So anyways, we talked about the future with VR. You know where else you can experience the future?
Please tell me, is it one of your sponsors?
You can experience the future with DreamHost because they are a web service that offers unlimited storage, unlimited bandwidth, user-friendly interface, and they're also optimized to use content managers such as WordPress. You can't get any more future than WordPress. And many more features, all that just for $8.95 a month. I mean, I use DreamHost. I use WordPress. And you can just look at the result, outofcontinues.com. It's beautiful. But if you use the promo code outofcontinues, that's one word, no spaces in between, just outofcontinues, it'll waive away the setup fee, get you a free domain registration. I mean, you can't get future than that, can you?
No, that sounds pretty futuristic to me. Being able to host a website?
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, like, if you ask somebody, like, off the streets right now, they'd be like, what? I thought you could only do that in the future. I did not know you can host a website.
Damn son.
What year is this? Real quick, got some quick announcements. iTunes, we can use iTunes reviews. If you want to help out the show, one of the single most helpful things you can do for the show is to leave an iTunes review. Basically, Apple goes by a week-by-week basis as far as the reviews go, and if a podcast doesn't get any reviews on a given week, then Apple views it as they don't even have any reviews at all. So they don't even show that podcast on their podcast charts. So please leave a review. It's doesn't even have to be a quality review. The quantity of reviews is more important than the quality of reviews, unfortunately. So if you can leave a review, it's one of the single most helpful things you can do for the show. If you can't leave a review for whatever reason, then and you still want to help out the show, you can still do so by sharing the podcast on social media such as Facebook, Reddit, whatever social media networks you want to use. And to really help out the show, tell a friend. If you don't like the podcast, tell someone you don't like. There you go. If you use Google Music Play, we're on there now too, so you can subscribe to Google Music Play and get the latest podcast directly to your Google Music Play feed. So link is at outofcontinues.com. You can find us there, or just go to Google Music Play and search for Out of Continues. All right, let's talk about some news.
Let's do it.
Talk about some news. Let me go full screen, share this. Screen share, boom. All right, let me hide that little message. All right, so Respawn Entertainment, known for Titanfall, they are currently working on a new Star Wars game, a third-person Star Wars game. We don't know anything about this game other than it's going to be third-person, and it's being done by Respawn Entertainment, and EA is publishing it. And yeah, I think it's probably going to be a multiplayer shooter. I think that's going to be a given. And
Yeah.
Since that's what Respawn is
Does
all about. Maybe it might have a campaign, but it's gonna be focused on the multiplayer, and likely gonna have some vehicle stuff going on as well. So I don't know if it's gonna be like Star Wars Battlefront 2. Maybe it might be like a different title, like a different type of experience. I'd expect it to be a different type of experience than Battlefront. That's my guess. What are your thoughts?
I feel like they really would want to explore some new avenues here, and it would be multiplayer. I do agree with you because Respawn has um, that whole thing going on, but it's gonna have some really meaty combat because this guy Stig Asmussen, I recognize his name from God of War actually. I think he was in charge of one of the earlier God of War games. And yeah, I think it's going to be an MMO. That's my prediction. Kind of like the Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, an MMORPG?
Yeah,
I don't think so. I very doubt that. Coming from Respawn Entertainment, they are the people that like made Titanfall and the Infinity Ward Call of Duty games.
yeah.
I don't think they're gonna be. I think that'd be a very far departure of what they're used to making if they will make an MMO.
All you can see here is it says third-person action adventure game.
Yeah.
So is there going to be a single-player component?
hmm Maybe it might be a new Jedi Knight game.
Ooh.
That would be cool.
Or it could be something else altogether.
Yeah,
I mean,
just something new altogether.
hey, oh, wait a second.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
EA. It could be 1313.
Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe. Could be.
It could be
I do know
1313.
it says that they're hiring, so I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm applying.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else we want to say about this before moving on?
Excited. Just super excited.
Yeah.
Let's go on. Let's move on.
Let's talk about Call of Duty real quick.
What? Dude, you're giving me all this freaking amazing news. Damn, I didn't even know.
Oh,
Can we play this? Are we playing this?
so you didn't know about Call of Duty Infinite Warfare?
Nope.
So Call of Duty, like there was some leaks earlier last week, and then they're like, okay, time to reveal it. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and made by Infinity Ward with the Infinite Warfare. War never ends. And like when I was watching this trailer, like the first minute or so, I thought was kind of it's Call of Duty. But then after that first minute, they like launch into space, and then it becomes Star Wars. And then I was like, "Whoa, this actually looks really cool!"
Dude,
Like
this
just
looks
like
good.
the battles in outer space, like they had like these space battles, and then the individual people went out of the ships and were floating around, and it actually looked really cool. Like I'm actually very excited about how this game looks. Unfortunately, they did not hashtag hire Staffa, but still, this looks like a cool game.
Yeah. I've stopped caring about Call of Duty personally because they just come out with way too many games way too fast. What is the last one? Black Ops 3?
The last one that came out last year is Black Ops 3, yes. Also, on top of Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, it also includes Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered. I think that's funny that they took out the number 4 because it used to be called Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. I think they don't want to remind people that they're at like Call of Duty, what, like 12,
17
13,
or so.
something like that.
Yeah. That's
So
a good call. And people never call it Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. Everyone called it Call of Duty Modern Warfare or just Modern Warfare.
yeah. So I know a lot of people on Reddit are very angry. They want the Modern Warfare remastered, but they don't want the Infinite Warfare.
Oh
But
wow, really?
I thought this Infinite Warfare actually looks pretty cool.
I mean,
Like,
don't you get this for free?
yeah, you buy Call of Duty Infinite Warfare and you get Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered for free.
Oh, I see. It's $20 more though, so they don't want to pay $20
Oh,
more.
oh, it's the Legacy Edition. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I see why they're mad. I see why they're mad.
Yeah, I can get it too. I wasn't looking at that big $79.99 in the corner.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Yes, sir.
All right, so some Battlefield news, and this is probably good. By the time this podcast goes up, there'll probably be more details on this, because these are all leaks so far.
Hmm.
So like recently, EA accidentally made a tweet about Battlefield 5, and then this image accidentally came out on the Xbox dashboard, and then they pulled it immediately. So this image, it says Battlefield 1, like the new Battlefield game. Battlefield 5 will be called Battlefield 1, and judging from the attire of the person in the picture, people are speculating that it will take place during World War One. Whether it's going to be a historically accurate World War One or some type of fictional, alternate World War One. That's what people are assuming.
Dude, what the heck is he wearing? And what is that weapon in his left hand?
That is club,
Did
a,
people actually
a spiked trench club.
did they actually have such weapons?
Yes.
Okay, they did. And
Yes.
this cape with like
I don't know if the cape is like part of the normal attire or what. Like, personally, I mean, I'm no historian. I don't know anything about like the correct attire for World War One, but like this makes it look like it's gonna be some kind of like a fantasy World War One, that because of the cape. But maybe the cape was something that they actually wore. I don't know. So either way, like, I don't know, like, personally, I don't think World War One is a good setting for a shooter. Like, first of all, the guns were not very good. Like, a lot of them were like single shot.
Yeah.
And also, World War One was like just a bad war. Like, it's not like World War Two where there's a lot of propaganda to make it feel like, oh, you're being a hero by stopping the Nazis and you're gonna have a glorious victory. World War One was a war where like just everyone died.
It's really gritty and really disgusting.
Yeah.
Trench warfare.
Mustard gas.
Yeah.
Just people piling on each other with dead bodies. I mean, like, I think what's that game called? The Ubisoft World War One game. Valiant Hearts. Yeah, Valiant Hearts was like an adventure game, and I think it did a really good job portraying how disgusting that war was. Like, it just had, a lot of bad things going on. So
Absolutely. Well, this is exciting though.
yeah,
I think
mean,
they could make a good game out of this. It's not that they can't put their own spin on it or something like that.
well,
I just don't get what he's wearing. What he's wearing does not
the
look
cape.
like World War One to me.
Yeah, I don't know. People are saying, according to the attire, it's World War One, but the cape just throws me off completely.
Yeah.
He looks like Doctor Strange.
Another thing that does look World War One is the gun on his hip.
Uh-huh.
That looks like one of those long rifles that they were using, the one-shot ones.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Or yeah. I mean, could be this. And also, I don't believe that people are that incompetent, okay? This stuff, these leaks, they're all purposeful, man. It's all marketing, dude. Don't buy into all that. Like, oh, they put the picture on Xbox Live and they took it down really quick. Oh, people have never done that kind of thing before. It's like, so obviously
True,
marketing.
true. But I'm assuming sometime next week after this podcast goes up, or by the time this podcast goes up, they will probably have like some kind of official announcement with more details.
True that.
So moving on.
Excited. Yeah, moving on.
All right, I want to talk about this game real quick, Midair. Because, like I said earlier, there is not that much news this week, so I want to talk about Midair. So, before I talk about Midair, I want to tell you about a game called Tribes. Tribes was an awesome game. It came out like, I think 1999 or something like that, and Tribes 2 came out like in 2002. I play a lot of Tribes 2, and Tribes 2 was a first-person shooter, like, real-time strategy game. So it was basically like Command and Conquer, except everybody was one of the units. And it was very team-oriented. You could not carry a team on your own. It was impossible. Like, it was all about the team working together to capture the flag. And there was a lot of mobility, like, as you can kind of see on this image right here. It had a game mechanic that was called skiing, which was originally a glitch, but the developers were like, hey, this is actually pretty fun, where you can like slide down a hill, and then when you go up the next hill, you jetpack, and then you come back down the next hill, using the momentum from the flight to just, gain a lot of speed, and you're sliding all over the place. And they called it skiing, and it was really cool, really fun. And we didn't have a good Tribes game after Tribes 2. There was like Tribes Vengeance, which was terrible, and then there's Tribes Ascend, which was just garbage. With Hi-Rez Studios trying to make it all about the microtransactions and just breaking the game altogether. And yeah, so there hasn't been a Tribes game since Tribes 2. And now this small studio, Archetype Studios, is working on making a game called Midair. It is a Kickstarter, and I'm not here to tell you to back the Kickstarter. I'm not backing the Kickstarter, not because I just don't have money, but also because I no longer back Kickstarters. That's not what I like doing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm here to say is that this game looks really cool. It looks like they understand what makes Tribes, and they are like pretty much remaking it to a T. And I really hope this happens. But unfortunately, even if this game happens, and even if it does turn out to be great, I'm afraid that this game will not succeed because I don't think enough people will play the game for multiple reasons. One, it's a developer that no one has heard of, Archetype Studios. Two, it's a game that no one has heard of, Midair. No one has ever heard of it. I mean, it's not like standing behind a big name that people have heard of. And three, overall, like, indie games, indie shooters are usually very unsuccessful. They don't get enough people to play. I mean, like, I've seen like Section 8, which tried to do things. It took some elements from Tribes. It took elements from Halo, and they made a $15 game called Section 8, and that failed. Even at $15, it failed. No one played the game. And like, overall, shooters made by indie games, even at like low price tags, they seem to fail. And especially if the game's more complex, and this Tribes is a very complex game. So I don't know. I hope this happens. I hope it's great, but I'm afraid that even if that happens, it'll still fail due to not enough people playing it.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I haven't heard of this game. I didn't play Tribes, but I mean, okay. So, what kind of indie games do you think do well? Because I'd like to know if I were to, start doing something indie myself. I want to know.
Usually, the indie games that do well are the one. I feel like a lot of the indie games that are made by like very small teams, like 2-man teams or whatever, they are the games that just do something very different. Like for example, Surgeon Simulator. Just something really different, and therefore, oh excuse me, people bought it. Or Five Nights at Freddy's. That was a horror game that was about being a security guard at Chuck E. Cheese's. That's it's something like I feel like that those are the indie games that are like most successful. But like as far as like if it's a slightly larger team, like Bastion, just a high quality game, just really good art, really good music,
really good voice acting. Really
yeah,
good voice acting.
yeah, everything.
Yeah, I think indie puzzle games do really well too. Like the ones that are super unique, like Braid and the Witness from Jonathan Blow,
Mm-hmm.
a lone developer, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Yes.
So let's talk about Steam real quick. Steam is changing the way how the user reviews are going to be highlighted. So basically, what Valve wants to do is they say that they want to better describe the current customer experience in games. So they want the reviews that have been posted within the past 30 days to be the prominent reviews that are highlighted up top. That the people browsing Steam will see those first. I love how GameSpot always uses like this very old image of Steam that has Max Payne 3. Like they always use the same image from so many years ago that has Max Payne 3, and it still has like the whole like chart. Anyways,
Yeah.
I digress. But either way, so yeah, I really like this change that they're doing because basically, especially with how games get updated, the current reviews are the most important reviews. Whether the game gets updated and it is improved, those reviews should be highlighted before the ones that were reviewed, before the update. Or the reviews can be if it's a multiplayer game, like one of these indie multiplayer games where like a bunch of people play the game at first and say it's awesome, but later on no one is playing it. So if someone checks out the game on the Steam store and they see all these reviews saying that, hey, so many people playing this game, it's really awesome, that's not indicative of how the game currently is.
Yeah.
So it's better to have the reviews, the more recent reviews come up where it says, hey, no one is playing this game, don't even try it, it's dead.
Yeah, I think the Steam reviews are really, really funny sometimes. Like for my favorite game, Dota 2, if you see some of the reviews, they go something like, "This game has ruined my life. I can't stop playing it." 10 out of 10. Always like that. So funny, and I feel that way too. Dota has kind of gotten me really obsessed, and it's an amazing game, and Valve is really smart with what they're doing with the game. But yeah, like this kind of won't really prevent reviews like that, the trolly ones.
Well, I mean, they're never going to stop the trolley ones, especially when they added the funny feature, because now there's positive reviews, negative reviews, and funny reviews. So because that they put the funny category on there, that's definitely not going to stop the trolley reviews.
Yeah, I don't think they want to stop the trilogy reviews. Valve is all about comedy, man. They make
Yeah.
serious games, but they've made really funny games too.
All right, let's move on.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about Mighty Number Nine. So Mighty Number Nine, which is the Kickstarter game by Kaiji Inafune, the creator of Mega Man. He kickstarted like back in 2013, and now it's 2016, and he's finally having a release date, and that is June 21st.
Nice.
Yeah, so next month the
PS4.
game's finally coming out.
Oh, cool. I think I might buy this one. I really liked Mega Man. I like these kinds of challenging Twitch games.
Honestly, I haven't been hearing much positive stuff about the game so far. Like, people have been playing it because they were Kickstarters, so they got into like the beta, and I haven't really been hearing too much positive. I'd say wait until this game comes out and see how the reviews go before throwing money down.
Yeah,
That's my advice.
I agree. I don't back Kickstarters as well. I've stopped. I've never backed them. I've never pre-ordered anything because I think that's just setting a bad precedent.
Yeah.
You're paying for something that's not available yet.
Yeah.
Who does that? Who pays for a loaf of bread before it's made? That's just, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's why I stopped doing it. But let's move on.
Yep.
All right, so here's a rumor that's been going around. The Nintendo NX, which is the code name for Nintendo's next console or platform, it might be using cartridges rather than Blu-rays or discs. So basically, what this article talks about is that Nintendo made like an extra large order of cartridges from of ROM cartridges similar to the 3DS, so not exactly to the 3DS, but similar to the 3DS. So because that they made like this huge order of cartridges that they should be getting this year, it sounds like there is the possibility, not a confirmation at all, but the possibility that the Nintendo NX will be using cartridges. And personally, I think this would be a very bad move because even though cartridges load faster, like you got flash discs and whatever, they definitely load faster than your optic discs, your Blu-rays and DVDs, but they're just more expensive. They are just much more expensive and to produce. So because of that, third-party developers, if this is true, if they are using cartridges, they are basically saying goodbye to third-party developers, because third-party developers will not want to, spend that extra money to, produce the cartridge games rather than printing onto Blu-ray discs. Or either that, or the third-party developers will just stick with, digital distribution when it comes to Nintendo. The other downside that I see with this is that unless they have, both cartridge and a disc port, the Nintendo NX will not be backwards compatible with Wii U games. And I think that is a huge mistake because Nintendo has a handful of really good games on the Wii U that no one will ever play.
Yeah.
Like they have the Splatoon and Bayonetta and Mario Maker, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people would love to try those games out for the first time on the NX if the NX is backwards compatible. But it wouldn't be backwards compatible if it has a cartridge slot and no disc slot.
Hey, have you thought that maybe this NX is not it's just a handheld console and not a, home console?
No, because the new Zelda game is going to be on NX.
Why can't Zelda be on a handheld console?
Because I said so.
Because,
It's because it's a Zelda game.
hey, this could be a handheld console. That's probably why they're making that decision.
Well, like, it is an open world Zelda game that's like pushing the limits of the Wii U, and that would have to be a pretty powerful handheld console to, handle that game. Plus, I don't think Nintendo wants to replace the 3DS yet. They are doing perfectly fine with the 3DS, and it would be just bad business for them to replace the 3DS. I mean, they are definitely trying to replace the Wii U. I'm very confident about that.
Yeah, I mean, I have, to be honest, I haven't been really excited by anything Nintendo's done in a while. I used to be a huge Pokemon guy. I used to play a lot of Pokemon. I had a 3DS. It's just not. Pokemon Go just doesn't look very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And the magic is lost for me. Maybe Zelda still is good. I think Zelda's maybe still pretty good, but magic is lost for Nintendo, I think. They've been doing this for a really long time. It's like the oldest game company. They've been doing this since the 1800s. And I feel like they've
they started off as a card game company.
Cards, yeah, they used to make cards. And yeah, I mean, there's there seems to be a disconnect between the modern industry and how it's going and what Nintendo is doing. They've done well in the past with the Wii. Everyone bought it, and so they thought that they could maybe pursue the same angle with the Wii U, but the industry's changed, it's grown, and they seem to be really behind the times. I hope something happens for Nintendo.
Yeah, they basically caught lightning in a bottle with the Wii, and it was only because of Wii Sports. Like, you had a lot of people who never played games before playing with Wii Sports. Like, you had lots of retirement homes or daycares. Just a bunch of people that didn't play games before. Now playing with the Wii because it's so easy to use. You just swing it and now you're bowling. But no one bought any of the other games, or very few people bought the other games. It wasn't like the majority of people who owned a Wii were buying anything other than Wii Sports. And after that, Nintendo pretty much like lost themselves. They did not know what they're doing with their lives.
Yeah. Bad marketing decisions, and bad product decisions, I guess. It's too bad because Nintendo does have potential. I guess we all know that.
All right. Well, that's all the news I have. I don't have any listener feedback. And so if you want to write into the show, though, so I can have listener feedback for next episode, podcast@outofcontinues.com. Send me your questions, comments, any type of feedback. I love feedback. It's always fun. Even if the person writing the feedback is arguing with me, it's still fun. So anyways, podcast@outofcontinues.com. The Twitch channel, I've been playing some, well, I haven't done any this week, but been playing some Dark Souls on the twitch.tv/SayItStafa. That's SAYEDSTAFA. That's pretty much it as far as what I want to plug. I guess maybe there might be an episode of Out of Capes soon. I don't know. Come on, Eric. We got to record sometime. Got to do some reviews for Out of Capes. Let's do it. And wrapping this up, if you enjoy what you've been hearing, you can support us by liking us on Facebook, You can follow us on Twitter. You can leave an iTunes review. You can contact by email. That's podcast@outofcontinues.com. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/outofcontinues. All those things I mentioned, they are found on the website. That's www.outofcontinues.com. You can also give me a tweet. I am at SayedStafa. That's at SayedStafa. Niraj, do you want to share your Twitter, or do they have to Google you?
Just Google me, man. Just Google me.
All right. So I'd like to thank my guest host for joining me today, Niraj. Thank you very much for sharing your VR expertise.
Thanks so much for having me, Stafa, and I learned a lot about gaming and some cool new games that came out. Always happy to be on the show.
Awesome. And with that said, I'm your host, Stafa. I'll see you guys next week. Bam.